So the red flag departs from the grid, eyes then to the lights. Look at the left top of your screen. Reece Stevenson on pole position with Johnny Garness and Harrison Desoy alongside. Red lights on, lights out, and we're racing. Great start from Harrison Desoy on the outside of the front row as he immediately gets the jump on Reece Stevenson down towards the first corner. Not bad at all from Sullivan Mounty on the blue number 4 on the outside, but it is then Harrison Desoy who has the advantage over Johnny Garness. Side by side for third as well between Reece Stevenson and Sullivan Mounty. Stevenson getting the better as they come through Hollywood, down the crater curves for the first time. A brilliant start there for Harrison Desoy, puts him at the front of the field, but keep an eye out on the riders further back, including the number 53, Keanu Vaya. He's made a good start there as he makes his way up the pack. I think he's up into about 7th or 8th place, so not bad at all from 10th on the grid.
Yeah, it was an amazing start there from 3rd place. He just launched off the line. Johnny Garness, although they moved quickly off the lights, they didn't quite let the clutch out as fast and didn't get the launch. Sorry, was it Harrison Crosby in 3rd? And yeah,
Harrison
Desoy.
Desoy.
Sorry, I'm getting Harrison's mixed up.
Easily done.
Easily done. And yeah, well, Johnny's just trying to work his way back to the front now.
Look at this leading group, though, as they come down the back straight in towards the S-bend, though. You can see Sullivan Mounty's late on the brakes on the number 4. It's only his first round in 2022. He sends it up the inside to take the lead at the final chicane. Brilliant stuff there. So it is Sullivan Mounty at the end of lap 1 who has the advantage over the 55 of Harrison Desoy. Then it is Johnny Garness side by side with Harrison down towards the first corner. Can he go last of the late breakers? No, he can't. Look at Ryan Hitchcock on the inside as Reece Stevenson gets mugged. 2 places lost there in the space of 1 corner.
Yeah, Reece Stevenson was really strong yesterday. He had some great late passes into some of the faster corners, and he'll be looking to do that again today. Unfortunately, he crashed out and fell victim of some of his high corner speed and carried a little bit too much front brake, but I think today he'll be really strong and can use those overtakes he was doing yesterday.
Keanu Vaya making progress as well. You can see him there just behind Bailey Stuart Campbell on the pink number 9. He's up into 7th place on lap 2, so not bad at all there for him. Reece Stevenson sends it down the inside into McLean's. In fact, sorry, that's not Reece Stevenson. That is number 29 of Lucas Brown. Had something of a quiet start to the race, but now he seems to have settled down a little bit, making progress on this front group. So through they go, on towards the back straight. It's Sullivan Mounty who leads the way, but you can guarantee somebody will be thinking about it on the brakes. Will Johnny Garness have a little bit of a look? Harrison Desoy goes for the outside line. Garness really late on the brakes. See that front end chattering away there, Taylor?
Yeah, there's a lot of small braking bumps as you approach there, as we just look at him looking over his shoulder there. I do love when Moto3 riders look over their shoulder because there's never anything but 10 bikes sat right behind you. But yeah, as they approach that chicane, there's a few little bumps as you turn into the corner, and then as you travel through the chicane, it kind of dips in the middle. There's another bump as you hit the second apex. So it's important to try and keep your bike slightly upright over those. You don't want to have maximum lean angle with a lot of brake, as you can quite easily lose the front.
Ryan Hitchcock moves his way up into 4th place at the expense of Lucas Brown. Down into the old hairpin, though, comes Sullivan Mounty. As I said, it's only his first weekend in the British Talent Cup this year. He competed last year for a full season, got a podium finish later on in the year. He now just loses out there to Johnny Garness as they come in towards McLean's. And Johnny has had a brilliant 2022 so far. Every time he's finished, he's been on the podium, but for one DNF, of course, for race 2 at Silverstone earlier on this year. But he's just been in imperious form, hasn't he?
Yeah, Johnny's riding really well. He also raced in the European Talent Cup last week in Estoril, and I think for younger riders, it's really good when they can get away outside of the UK and race with riders from other countries, because it really does help bring them on. And I think Johnny's feeling the benefits of that. You learn to ride slightly differently, you use a lot of track in the foreign countries, and then you come back to the UK and you can transfer those skills. So riding over there is definitely going to help him. It was the same for Carter Brown. He was also racing over there, and yeah, so far it's been paying off for them.
Look at Keanu Vaya. He's got his way past Ryan Hitchcock. Now moves into 4th place, or has he? Hitchcock tries to hold it the long way around the outside through Redgate. Will he get good enough drive? Yes, he will. Keanu Vaya goes through and into P4. So that's a brilliant start from 10th place on the grid. By lap 4, already up with this leading group. And the thing is, then nobody's getting away here. It's very close pat racing. Quickest lap last time around as well.
Yeah, we always say this in British Talent Cup, but there's this game of cat and mouse where you've got the faster riders on the straights. You've kind of split the field in two. There's the smaller riders like Johnny Garness, and Via that can use that speed at the end of the straights. Then you've got the bigger riders that use their advantage in the sort of longer, faster corners. They can really get over the front and use their size to their advantage there.
Via up the inside into Coppice on his teammate, gets ahead of Harrison Desoy. Desoy takes a tighter line through the exit of the corner. Who will get the better drive between the Microlist Cresswell Racing teammates? Looks like Desoy's got the advantage, but you can see their great straight line speed from the Dutchman of Keanu Via. He's a very small lad, and that will help down the straight. And you can see there as well that Ryan Hitchcock has also been able to make his way through on Desoy. And this lead group goes all the way down to about 10th or 11th place. It's so close, and it's anybody's game.
Yeah, yesterday's race winner Carter is in 11th there, so you can see just how compact and competitive this field is. The Microlist Cresswell team do an amazing job. They've got some really strong riders there. You can see them just at the front of the shot then. And yeah, we've also got Pete Banks' bike there, who's been and got a lot of experience in this paddock. There's also Hitchcock on the RS Racing bike, so there's a wealth of experience amongst all these teams, and they pass that on to all these younger riders.
Yeah, keen to see what Harrison Crosby's going to do. That's the Banks Racing yellow machine. He, of course, was in podium contention at Alton Park, ended up high-siding out of the final corner in the second race, and no points on the board there for him. So I'm sure he'll be hoping to make a bit of forward progress, but do you think that sort of incident would have dented his confidence a little bit?
Yeah, it's difficult. Sometimes you do have a crash, and it's easy to let that affect you in the next couple of races, but you just kind of have to put them to the back of your mind. And just normally when you get back involved in a race situation, all that goes out the window because you don't really have time to think about anything else that's going on. As Johnny Garness was nearly on the grass there into the chicane.
Yeah, phenomenally close here. Sullivan Mounsey leading the way across the timing line here as we get ready to start lap 6. Down in towards the first corner, really late on the brakes there from Sullivan Mounsey, and Garness didn't really have much anywhere to go going in towards that first turn. Just about managed to keep it on the straight and narrow, but these guys behind are knocking 7 bells out of each other. They've got to be, I reckon, a little bit careful because they're in danger of letting these top two of Mounsey and Garness. They've got a bit of daylight between themselves here. Yeah,
they're really pushing on at the front. They both set the personal best lap times on that last lap, but if you do start beating each other up and fighting, every time you do that, you do cost yourself a little bit of time. So if they were clever and worked together, which doesn't always happen in these junior classes because they're just desperate to win, they could get away. But so far, they're still managing to hold that gap of about 0.8 per second.
What I love about the British Talent Cup as well is you've got professional outfits like the MLAT Vision Track Academy team, but then you've got Sullivan Mounsey on his Magic Mounsey run bike, and that's a team, a family run effort, so you can be competitive and not have all the money in the world, can you?
Yeah, I mean, even in these junior classes, a lot of this racing is dad and lad racing, which is fantastic. There's families put everything on the line to get their kids out on track, and it's amazing because it gives them the opportunity to hopefully have a career in motorbike racing, and it's great to see when young kids come through like this and perform well.
Look at this, really close, side-by-side action, down in towards the first corner. Sullivan Mounsey still with the advantage over Johnny Garness here. Down through Hollywood we go. It is Mounsey still that leads the way, but Garness is looking really aggressive. Keanu Via's managed to hold on to third place ahead of teammates Harrison Desoy. Further back, there's some side-by-side action as well, almost there with the number 74 of Carter Brown, yesterday's winner, trying to find his way through. A bit further back, that's the 41 of Luca Hopkins, down in 12th place. And this is a battle going on between himself, McKay, Edmonds and Dewin as they squabble for position. And again, just really close racing up and down the field. Big old gap to the leading group here, but still giving it absolutely 10 tenths.
Yeah, it's great when you do end up in a little bit of a bunch like this because the race passes by so much faster. When you're out on your own in these races, they can be long, hard races, especially with it being 22 laps, so it's good for those guys to get towed around with each other.
Down in towards the S's we go, then up the inside comes Sullivan Mounsey. I tell you what, his confidence on the brakes is really impressive.
Yeah, each time Johnny's got near him, he's been able to let the brakes off and rail around the outside or up the inside, so it's going to make a very interesting lap. Johnny's trying to use all the experience he's gained. You see here, Sullivan just lets the brakes off. Johnny's got big, wide sweeping lines, but that's allowing him to get up the inside.
Yeah, you can see there on the corner exits they come down through Hollywood. Supreme drive out of Redgate, takes over at the front. And the thing is, you want to get that move done either before Craners or after Craners. You don't want to be side by side in the middle.
No, and it's very easy for that to happen. Suddenly you start running out of track. Sullivan's so strong into there. He's been able to get Johnny back. You can see at turn 1, Well, each time now it's kind of the pattern's repeating. Johnny stays really wide on the entry to the corner, and that then allows Sullivan up the inside, but then that costs him his apex speed, and Johnny can then get the drive on and get him out. But all of that has now let the group behind catch up.
Yeah, look at Keanu Vaya. He's going to send it up the inside into Koppis. Great move then from the Dutchman. Chatter on the front end as he goes through to second place. Can Mounsey, though, retaliate on the exit of the corner? Keep an eye out for the red 43 of Ryan Hitchcock, and also the number 40 of Julian Correa, as well, as they come down in towards the S-Bend. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Carter Brown on the Vision Track Academy bikes, looking pretty aggressive there. Ryan Hitchcock chops his nose off as they come through. It's Johnny Garness then from Vaya, from Mounsey, from Hitchcock, and here comes race 1 winner Carter Brown on Hitchcock for 4th place. Side by side they go. Lucas Brown's in and amongst the mix here as well. Oh, goodness me, Harrison Desoy, how on earth did he not get his nose chopped off through there? It's anybody's guess who's going to take these positions, and it is Carter Brown. Brilliant racecraft here from Brown.
Fantastic. He's just chipping through this group. He started right at the back of this group, and one by one he's been picking them off. The guys fighting at the front has enabled that whole group to catch up now, and it's put him right in contention of a podium spot.
So through the left-hander of Swans were about to go, and then in towards McLean's on the brakes for Sullivan Mounsey. Oh, Keanu Vaya goes through. 2 places lost in one corner there for Johnny Garness. Goodness me, this is just close and frenetic, and we're not even at the halfway stage here in this race, so these boys are going to have to try and calm things down a little, because they're getting a little bit aggressive out there on track here.
I'm getting tired just watching this. There's so much going on. I feel sorry for them. They've got another 13 laps of this.
Oh, you're not race fit anymore, is that what it is?
No, definitely not. I'm just pub fit at the minute.
Aren't we all? So down into the final chicane we go. Vaya now leads the way, 10th on the grid. He started at lap 9. He hits the front for the first time, followed by Mounsey, followed by Johnny Garness. Then it's Carter Brown, fastest lap last time around there for Keanu Vaya. Just by 1,000th of a second, actually, over Sullivan Mounsey. Those two are the only riders in the 115s at the moment, so hugely impressive pace of those boys.
Yeah, really impressive. Yesterday Vaya looked really strong until he had that unfortunate crash. Very nasty crash as well. He got caught up in the back wheel, so I'm glad to see that he came through it unscathed and has come straight back to the finish.
Harrison Crosby looks like he's fallen away a little bit. You can see they're just behind Baby Stuart Campbell, I think number 9, sits in 10th position with Crosby now in 11th. Look at this as we go up the inside. Harrison Desoy making a move on Johnny Garness. Lucas Brown making a move also on Garness's teammate Carter Brown as they go side by side in towards Koppis. Who's going to get the lead here? It is Mounsey that takes over at the front from Keanu Vaya then. It's Harrison Desoy who sits in 3rd place, but you can guarantee these positions are going to be exchanging as they come down in towards this chicane. It's so close with these riders that the thing is, if they make one minor mistake, he's set to lose not only a bit of time, but 3, 4, 5 positions. And look at this, 4 riders going nearly 3, 4 abreast, and you can see Mounsey there really wide out of the final chicane, cost him a little bit of time, not too much in terms of drive though. Vaya pulls alongside Mounsey into the first corner. I mean, I didn't realise you could get 5, 6 riders side by side down the start finish straight.
It's really great to see this, and it's so much fun to watch, but you can see quickly how someone like Johnny Garness, for instance, is back to 7th quite easily, and Hitchcock as well down in 9th, who were right at the front of this group 2 seconds ago.
Can you make a plan when you're riding like this with this much close competition?
Yeah, I said this yesterday, but it really is just like a game of chess, and except you're doing 140 mile an hour at points, but your plan's constantly changing, so you have an idea when you first set off what you're thinking of doing. But yeah, like Carter 2 seconds ago was in 4th. He was thinking about picking his way through to the front, and now he's back in the bunch, so he's then got to reassess his plan, change what he's doing. Reece Stevenson yesterday, he was lap after lap, he was managing to get past people and then get one back. So you do have a plan, but at the same time in this, when there's so many riders on track and so many people spread across the track, it's very difficult for your plan to come to a good conclusion normally.
So down in towards the chicane we go. Here's Vaya up the inside once again of Sullivan Mounsey. The 2 black bikes just behind of Reece Stevenson and Lucas Brown, occupying 4th and 5th places. We're still side by side for the race lead. Who's going to get this one? Looks like Vaya's got good drive, has track position even before they make it into Redgate. Mounsey chops away though. Side by side they go into the first corner. Mounsey now back ahead, and the 2 black bikes of Brown and Reece Stevenson have now been overtaken by Harrison Desoy. Garness on a bit of a backwards turn through this race as he's just falling away a little bit from the top four. Not too much, he's still very much within the leading group, but just seems to have lost his rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, and to be honest, I just want to give a shout out to Sullivan Manji. He's been so impressive on the brakes, no matter who he's put up against. As they enter a corner, especially at Redgate, he's just able to let the brakes off and rail up the inside of them. Sometimes he's ran wide, but he's still at the front of this group. And Vire as well has also come through. And yeah, it's we can see, I think, when we get to the last few laps, Sullivan will be really strong on the brakes, and that last stage is going to pay dividends for him.
Well, one thing I'd like to ask, actually, is when you're going that late on the brakes, obviously there's no margin for error. Do you get a warning that something could go wrong from the front end, or is it just instantaneous?
Yeah, it's difficult when you can see here as he just lets the brake off. So when you have a moment on the rear of the bike, it's a little bit more in control, because if the bike slides, you can roll the throttle and it won't affect the drive as much. Whereas on the front, you kind of brake where you think you should, you turn in, but it's so fast if you do lose the front, it's very difficult to save it, especially on these little bikes. So once the front end goes, there's kind of, sometimes you can save it, but it's normally that's the end of your race. So yeah, Marc Marquez has from time to time saved the odd one, but from these guys, the bikes are so small and so light, before they know it, they're upside down. So it's a very fine line. Yesterday you saw Reece Stevenson, he was able to do it, make some big passes, but then unfortunately got caught out and lost the front.
Oh, look at that, Carter Brown just hopping over the curve as they come through into Schwantz and then into McLean's. Look at that on the outside, he goes of Harrison Desoy. He's got supreme confidence at this stage, hasn't he? And he's looking to try and get himself into the front of this race. We're nearly 3 wide as we come in towards Coppice. And who is going to take the lead? It's Keanu Vire from Mounty, but look though at the 74 of Carter Brown, race 1 winner from yesterday, up the inside of Mounty. Great drive on the exit of the corner. Teammate Johnny Garnett is making a comeback here, and they are now side by side as they come down this back straight. In towards the chicane we go. Carter Brown in second place, as Garnett just slots himself very sensibly there into third place, Desoy into P4. So there you are, that's how quickly things can change. Mounty, from leading the race, is now 4th, 5th in this group nearly.
Yeah, I'm just laughing. If you look at Mounty's front brake guard, you can see it sticking right up in the air, the number 4 bike. And that's just where he's had a little bit of contact with another rider and it pushes it up. Those guards are there to stop your front brake getting hit by another rider. But unfortunately, once it's been hit once and it's up out the way, your front brake is then open to abuse. So hopefully you can avoid any more contact.
Well, if there's one rider that's going to be keeping an eye on track limits, that's something to mention as well. It is Sullivan Mounty. He received a 2-second penalty for infringing the track limits just a few too many times here yesterday. That's when you go on to the yellow paint, so the green painted section, I should say, off the track. Basically, if the race direction think that you have gained an advantage, they will award you with a 2-second time penalty. No long lap penalties here at this Donington National Circuit. You can see Mounty, he's getting really roughed up in that group now. So from the lead, he's down into about 7th or 8th place. Really changing hands. Do you think maybe he might have gone a little bit too hard on that front tyre, or do you think he's just been caught out by the rest of the group?
No, in Moto3 the tyres do wear up a little bit, and when you first race in Moto3 you think you've got tyre wear, but then when you get on bigger bikes you realise that your tyres never actually wore out at all. You could just ride on these tyres all day. Because they don't have a lot of horsepower, there's not a lot of force going through them, they don't wear out too much.
Oh, sorry, Mounty, look at that, bombing it over the curve, just about keeps it on the straight and narrow. Goodness me. Sorry, as you were.
No, well, he just clipped the curb there and it upset the bike, and once these bikes, because they're so small and light, once they do get into a bit of tank lap, it's very easy for them to keep going. Yeah, the tyres, the front tyres on these wouldn't normally wear out that much, especially in just a short race like this. The rear tyre will go off slightly and the lap times might drop off a little bit, but I think he's just been swallowed up by this sheer volume of bikes on track more than the actual tyres wearing out.
Yeah, you can see it cost him a lot of drive out of that final corner, and he'd lost 3 positions by the time he came down in towards T1. He now sits behind Bailey Stewart Campbell. So from the lead to 9th place, into the lead, meanwhile, comes Keanu Vire. He just sends it up the inside of Johnny Garnett. And Garnett says, no, I'll have that back, thank you, as they come in towards Coppice. He's having a look, but he's not quite able to mount an attack at this point. Reece Stevenson, meanwhile, in the black 23. Again, really strong performance here yesterday. Had he not had that crash, he could have been a definite contender for that win, couldn't he?
Yeah, he was looking really strong yesterday, especially in the later parts of the race. He was making big passes, just was a little bit wide. I don't know if he hit a bump or just lost the front at McLean's yesterday and unfortunately crashed. But yeah, he was looking very strong. And it's the key to this is being able to fight your way back to the front and being strong on the brakes. We see how quickly the Vision Track bikes have got back to the front. Also, Harrison Desoy got bumped back and he's working his way back to the front as well.
So down into Hollywood and then the greater curves we go. It is Via from Garnes, from Harrison Desoy. So the two Microlist Cresswell racing bikes have something to smile about, but possibly not for long, because Garnes was having a little half look there in towards that old hairpin. So do you think that's just a case of having a little bit of overspeed and just maybe running a bit too quick, so he has to run a sort of wider line, or is that just a bit of a mistake?
Yeah, it changes from corner to corner. If you do hang out wider, you're able to carry your speed through the corner and use your corner speed. If you're going tighter to try and pass someone and you're up the inside, you've got to stand the bike up a little bit more, squeeze the front brake a little bit harder. It's in this class, it's so much is changing all the time. Sometimes they're doing it to gain an advantage, sometimes they're just trying to get out of the way of one another, and that's why it changes so quickly.
The top 11 riders are separated by a whisker as they come down at the back straight. They've got 14 seconds over the rest of the field. Down into the chicane we go. Bailey Stewart-Campbell having a sneaky look there on Carter Brown, wasn't quite able to make it stick, but Sullivan Moundsey's done a really good job actually of just regrouping over the last lap or two. He's now back up into 4th place, so that's really good considering he was in 9th at the start of the last lap.
Yeah, I mean, this group breaks up so fast, there's a little bit of a gap appears, and then all of a sudden it closes back up at the chicane, so that was really impressive riding to get back to the front of this so fast. I was just saying how the important part of this is being able to work your way back to the front, and being strong on the brakes is a huge advantage, so especially there isn't too many passing spots for them here. The chicane's a big one, and into the old hairpin here.
I don't know, on these British Talent Cup bikes, anywhere's a passing place for these boys, isn't it?
I must say, I've never seen so much of Donington Park covered in one race. I've never seen so many bikes across the track so much.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, isn't it? Carter Brown's having a look then on Harrison Desoy as they come in towards McLean's. Just not quite close enough to mount a serious attack at this stage. Mounsey, meanwhile, is also having a little bit of a half look there. Not quite able to make anything stick into coppice. I think as you come over that rise, and I've crashed there before, it flipping hurts, to be honest with you, for a start. But second of all, because you come over that rise, the rear goes a bit light, doesn't it?
Yeah, so as you approach coppice, it goes uphill and you start braking up into the hill, so the bike really compresses. And then as you get up over that crest, everything goes light. Oh, Carter had to go across the inside curve there. Everything goes light as you get to the top of coppice, and it's easy for sort of the front end to feel like it's floating a little bit, and you can lose the front. So you have to be careful passing people in there.
We're 3 wide down the start-finish straight. Harrison Desoy on the inside, Bailey Stewart-Campbell last of the late breakers into Redgate. Great move there as Carter Brown tries to go the long way around the outside. Can he make that stick on Desoy? Yes, he can, so he goes through a position. Bailey Stewart-Campbell's now coming into his own. He's had a quiet race, kept his powder dry, so to speak, up until this point, and now he's really getting his elbows out.
He's doing an excellent job. The group had sort of stretched out earlier and he got put to the back, but he's worked his way through brilliantly, setting some of his fastest laps on these last few laps to work his way back there.
I have to say, I love watching Bailey Stewart-Campbell riding because he's a bit of a taller lad and he has to stick his leg a little bit further up off the bike, and it reminds me of Chaz Davis when he used to ride the Aprilia because he's a bit too big for that bike, and you could see there was his leg wasn't locked to the tank, as it were.
Yeah, you can see his outside leg sticking up there. That's just, the more you pull yourself to the front of the bike, your leg has to go somewhere, so it sort of sticks up more into the air. You see the smaller riders in this don't have to do that as much because they're just doing everything they can to pull themselves off to the inside of the bike. They don't have as much strength either, so you imagine the smaller rider compared to their bike, the difference in mass is quite a lot. So the bigger riders are a lot more, they're probably similar weight to the bike, so they're not far off that weight, so it's a lot easier for them to muscle it about.
Yeah, the two of the smallest riders in this field were at the front. Look at that from Sullivan Moundsey down the inside, 2 in 1. How did he do that? How did he get it stopped into Redgate? I don't know if he's going to hold it down into Hollywood because Via's got a better exit running that tighter line. He ran a little bit too hot into there, didn't he, Moundsey? But that was phenomenal.
Yeah, he's really good at letting the brakes off and rail right through the corner, but unfortunately as he does that, sometimes he ends up a little bit wide on the way out and they're able to nip back past him. If he can do that and get the bike stopped enough, he'll be a force to be reckoned with on this last lap.
So into the left-hander we go. We're going to flick it right. This is where we've seen a few riders lining up moves, like Carter Brown on teammate Johnny Garnes. He goes through into 3rd place there. Meanwhile, Julian Correa on the Microlist Cresswell racing bike, the second of the bikes in this sort of leading group at the moment, is just making some steady progress through, stuck behind Harrison Crosby on the yellow 15 at the moment. Meanwhile, at the front, we've got 4 riders looking like they're fancying a crack at this one. Down into the chicane we go. Carter Brown's going to have a go on the inside of Sullivan Moundsey. Thinks better of it as Moundsey goes, again, really late on the brakes, and somehow he just is able to get that bike. Oh, goodness me! That was a bit of a moment coming out of there. It's going to cost him drive, going to cost him time. and instead of challenging for the lead, he's going to drop back into 4th place, possibly 5th, because Bailey Stewart Campbell fancies chancing his arm down into the first corner. Not quite close enough to mount an attack there, but he's had a few warnings, hasn't he, Mounty?
I give up trying to predict what's going to happen in this race.
Look at this.
See there, so the bike gets a little bit light there as you exit the corner. It comes up over the curve and there's a little bit of a mound, and just as he's gone up over that, he's had a little bit of a tank slap, and that upset him. You can see how much drive it cost him straight away.
Somehow he's just able to regroup so quickly, Sullivan Mounty. And I have to say, it's so impressive because he wasn't at the first 2 rounds of the season. Competed for a full season last year, got a podium. But this is easily one of the best showings we have seen from the number 4. But it's anybody's guess out of these top 11 who are going to be on for the podium. The thing is, they're coming up on a back marker here as well. Ross Moore, that was, on the number 8 they're coming up towards. We've got 2 laps left. They're definitely going to catch him before the end of this one. Could play a part.
It did, and it did yesterday as well. The difficult thing for the back marker is trying to get out of the way without getting in the way, and it's so difficult because there's only really one line around the track, and if you catch someone into a chicane like this or through turn 1, there's nowhere really for them to go. So they do their best to get out of the way, but at the same time, when you've got 10 bikes all desperate to win, trying to come up your inside, it's a difficult thing to manage.
Harrison Crosby out wide on the final corner. He's got to keep an eye on that because race direction have been pretty hot on that last corner, and time penalties can be awarded. Johnny Garnett is about to get mugged here by Harrison Desoy as he goes through into the first turn. So making progress then is Harrison Desoy in this latter stage of the race. Oh, sensibly there. Ross Moore just able to notice that there's a big old leading gaggle of riders coming through, moves out the way and doesn't cause too much of a hiccup for these guys.
He did that brilliantly there. He saw what was coming in. I'm glad he did, because it was about to get very messy down Craner curves if he wasn't out of the way.
So 1.5 laps now remaining here, Taylor. If you're the riders involved in this group, what on earth is going through your mind?
Well, I'd love to tell you the plan that I had in my head, but I really wouldn't have a plan at this point. They just seem to be racing to the next corner and forgetting that there's another 2 laps, and I think that's all you can do. You just got to keep fighting your way to the front. If you let yourself drop back to 5th or 6th, and all of a sudden you can end up 9th. So the important thing is to keep circling in the front. Vaya's done an excellent job of that so far. He's always been inside the top 3 over these last few laps, as well as Sullivan, and Johnny Garnett is coming around the outside now. So yeah, it is really anyone's.
Mounty then up the inside of Garnett. Garnett tried to have a little look, didn't he, around the outside into that final chicane. Wasn't quite able to make it stick. Again, wide out of that last corner for Mounty. Going to cost him time, going to cost him drive. He was on the green as well, so keep an eye out for race direction to see whether they're keeping a close eye on that. Down to the first corner for the final time we go. Mounty sends it down the inside. Harrison Desoy, I should say, rather, also looking on the inside of Bailey Stewart Campbell in and amongst the mix there. But the race leader, Keanu Vaya's coming down in towards the Craner curves, and he is just about got the advantage for now, but he's got Johnny Garnett and Carter Brown who fancies a slice of the action here. Garnett tries to go the long way around the outside of the old hairpin. Surely not. What a move there from Johnny Garnett. How did he get that stopped? And his teammate follows him through as well.
That was amazing. I had no idea where he was going, and then all of a sudden he was leading. That's fantastic.
I don't think he did, to be honest with you, coming into the old hairpin there, but that was absolutely inspiring there from Johnny Garnett. The thing is, do you want to be leading coming out of Coppice into that final chicane?
It's very difficult. Yesterday we saw Carter get the run on him, and Johnny lost a little bit of drive, but I mean, if you were Johnny, you'd want to be leading, because Carter's going to struggle to slipstream past him here, but really it's going to be whoever's last of the late breakers into this last chicane.
So down into it we go then. It's Johnny Garnett who's got the lead, but here comes Carter Brown. Can Vaya do anything? I don't think they can. So Garnett has got this one sewn up, unless Carter Brown can do something. A moment there for Garnett. It's a run to the line, and it is going to be Carter Brown surely that just about gets the advantage as they come across the line. It's Garnett, and it's a photo finish on my timing screen. It says 0,000 of a second. What a finish here in the British Talent Cup.
A complete dead heat. I can't remember the last time I saw a dead heat.
Oh, goodness me. I think Race Direction are going to have a closer look at that one to confirm who it was that took the win. Vaya finishes in 3rd place. This is a battle a bit further down. Edmonds gets the better of Goodman and Dewin for the final points paying positions. Garnett and Carter Brown, they don't know who's won it. Neither do we, to be fair. Let's have a